Good morning, everybody. Today is the fourth day of our virtual training section concerning how to get our loved one into addiction. My name is Gideon Obunda Michael. I'm going to be our facilitator for today. But before we proceed, we're going to do a recap of what we did yesterday. And then we talked about when to involve crisis manager and then stroke intervention. So we talked about how to contact the crisis manager, the assessment. We talked about when to engage them in dialogue. And we also talked about when they can easily be brought in using the law enforcement agency when it comes to the threat aspect of it. And that's how we concluded yesterday. Today, we are looking at the day 4. Day 4 talks about understanding spirituality and roles of prayer in relation to addiction. Understanding spirituality and roles of prayer in addiction. So I'm starting. Now, when we talk about spirituality, I want us to have some things in the back of our mind. The spirituality is an aspect of human that we cannot actually see on a physical aspect. It deals more with our emotion, stroke, character. So anything that has to do with spirit has a lot of different characters that comes with it. So today, I'm starting the place of spirituality. Spirituality is a broad concept with room for many perspectives. In general, it includes a sense of connection to something bigger than ourselves. And it is typically involves a search for meaning in life. As such, it's a universal human experience, something that could touch us all. What are we saying? Today, this world is versatile and human beings are so versatile in different things. And spirituality could mean different things to different persons, depending on how they've been connected to a bigger power, their experiences. Now, when we talk about spirituality, we have both the positive energy and the negative energy. But today we're going to be drawing more from the positive energy because we know that is what can help most of us. But from the addiction aspects, most of the energy tends to lead to the negative aspect of it. Now, let's cite an example of somebody that once came to our facility. And what did this person say? He came and he said he's been under pressure because of the things he alone can see. And what are the things he can see? He said when he's having his bed, lions are coming to attack him. And it's so very funny that he's only the one that can see these things. And when somebody tells you something like that, what will you think? You will think that this person is not normal. But the truth of the matter is this is this person's conviction. Just like when you have your own personal conviction that it is only meant for you, but I cannot see from that aspect because it's meant for you. And I'll begin to wonder what you're saying. I can't correlate with that. So spirituality is a very deep thing, and then it comes to different people in different perspectives. Many people describe spirituality experience as a scared or transcendent, simply a deep sense of aliveness or interconnectedness. Interconnectedness. What do we mean by interconnectedness? For you to be able to connect to a higher power, something that is bigger than you, something that is very, very unusual, something that is has a different realm from where you are. Something that can touch you in a different form, that can begin to give you perspectives of meaning to what you are looking for. And they can come in different forms. Some may find that their spiritual life is intricately linked to their association with a church, temple, mosque, or synagogue. Others may pray or find comfort in a person, relationship with God, or a higher power. Still, others seek meaning through their connection to nature. These are areas how people connect spiritually to their spirituality. One people, when we come to the Christendom today, they talk about the church. And in church today, we have different denominations. Some people talk about the temple, that is how they register their spirituality and they get connected. Some people talk about the mosque, that is how they've gotten their own belief and they are working in their spirituality on that aspect. Some are synagogue, some are just nature. Some look at the aestheticness of nature and that is how they connect to their spirituality. All these forms are ways of connecting to your spirituality. Like your sense of purpose, your personal definition of spirituality may change throughout your life, adapting to your own experience and relationship, just like I said in the beginning. Because we begin to have different experiences when we begin to go into the spiritual aspect of it. And the way we term things and give meaning to things in our own terms of spirituality gives us different experience. And as we begin to grow, some people tend to change from what they used to be their conviction to a higher thing that they gain experience with. You understand? So, like what I'm going to be saying, the aspect I'm choosing today in this session as spirituality, I say that spirituality means any experience that is thought to bring a person into contact with divine. So I'm talking about the higher power, and I'm talking about God, the one that is the Almighty God, the creator of the heavens and the earth. Because in this place where we're from our own organization, that is an experience we have gotten. I'm going to furthermore talk about what people still think. Psychologists today say that in the United States, addiction is often described as a spiritual, physical, and emotional problem. And while they didn't necessarily agree with that notion completely, other research might suggest that addiction is a disconnection from spirituality among many others. What we believe in A&D today, and that is the way we've been operating, is that you cannot come in contact with somebody that is going through any addiction challenges without looking at these three aspects of the person. You need to deal with the spiritual aspect, the physical aspect, and the emotional aspect for all of them to balance. And this is where you can get a clean, clear treatment for that person. And that is what we believe. But there's still a competition in this, there's still an argument in this notion. Some are not yet taking this into fullness that cannot be it. Now, addiction and spirituality goes in hand as we notice the contrast of how spirituality plays a role in both addiction and recovery. If you look at it, the truth of the matter is that spirituality goes a long way. It goes into our belief. What do I believe? What are the things that are spiritual that I believe? Some people that believe in God, some believe in other things, some believe in nature. Some people go to different places for spirituality issues. So their belief goes a long way. And in this belief that they have, they begin to work out things with that. So it goes a long way when it comes to your spirituality in what you believe. And that can begin to help people to attain treatment of what they want and how to get out of addiction. And that is why family needs to be there for them. Because one thing about you being for them there, like I said in community, when we talk about communication, the compassion aspect of you have to be selfless and you always have to be kind to them so that when we talk about their spirituality, you can always be there to help them. Like our father said, addiction is a disease of isolation. And author Tommy Rosen, of the one that authored the book Recovery um, 2.0, an addiction feeds on shame and guilt. Addiction robs us of our spirituality because it makes us believe we are not connected, we are alone, and in turn are too numb to hear or understand any sense of intuition, spirit, or higher power. It makes us believe we have little or nothing to be grateful for and blind us from being mindful or present to the reality. Two things that happens when somebody is going through addiction issue. One, addiction feeds on shame and guilt. What does shame do to us? Shame will always make us to remain timid. That place we are, we can't move forward because we are scared of what will happen to us. And we always have guilt of things that we've done wrongly and we don't have the way to surpass those things. So what shame begins to do and guilt begins to do to us is to make us remain in that place. And we are relating shame and guilt in terms of addiction. And you see, a lot of people, because they don't know and they are not ready to speak out, and then because they know that if they come to some people, those people will criticize them, those people will not accept them. So they decide to remain in that guilt and shame state of their life. And as long as they continue to remain in that aspect of their life, what happens to them? The addiction continues to feed on those two things and it takes them deeper and deeper. And before you know it, if care is not taken, that could be the end of that person. And if those people can break out of the shame and guilt and they are ready to come out and say, yes, I'm ready to fight, then that will be the beginning of their treatment. And that is why we're telling um, the loved ones that they need to help them in this aspect because this guilt and shame is something that goes a long way in fighting addiction. So the loved one has to be prepared in the realm of them, in the spiritual form, to understand some of these things that happens in the realm of the spirit with these people. They hear voices, they see things, and if they come to you telling you about all the things they see, the way you will treat them because you don't have a better understanding of those things really matters. And that is why you see some of them, they go back into their shell and not come out again. So we need to really understand that there is a perspective of spirituality if they need to recover from this addiction that we need to build on with them. Most will argue that to truly be successful in breaking the chain of addiction, we all need a spiritual path in recovery and community of support to go along with. The reason for this is that the addicts in us want us to remain alone in the dark, but a spiritual path and community shine their light for us. Once a light illuminates, the darkness cannot survive. Understanding the role of spirituality can play in a solid recovery path is usually the cornerstone for many in treatment. Spirituality deals not only our heart but also with our mind. By welcoming in a spiritual practice with prayer, meditation, and connecting to a higher power, we can begin to overcome shame and negative. Now you could see that a lot of things that has to do with spirituality comes from the mind aspect. So when we begin to welcome, helping them to begin to see from the spiritual aspects of what purpose means, of what the meaning of their life can be, and how they can begin to attain that spirituality of their personality, then they can begin to work through it. And some of the things that we can use as tools is prayer. When we begin to pray, you begin to see some changes that can happen in their life. When they begin to meditate, focusing on things that they have not focused on before, changes begin to happen. They have been able to connect to a higher power. And this thing happens when these things start to happen. I want to let you understand that a battle has been set when they go into the spiritual aspect. A battle has been set, and the battle is either they are going to be winning or they are going to be losing. And if we don't know how to help them properly to fight this battle, that is why you see a lot of them saying that it is not working, because we have to give everything to it when it comes to spirituality for them to balance up and get the freedom indeed they want. Retaining our hearts and mind through the work of spiritual practices is crucial. It helps us to fight craving and understand we are not alone. That is one thing the practice of spirituality can do for us, coming from those that can help us to fight it in the realm, to fight the war of the spirit, because spirits are character, and all this craving that we see, these are the characteristics of addiction. And now we need to replace those craving with strength and being able to say no when all these things come. And that's why one thing I tell to people is that when you are alone and that craving is coming, it starts with a thought. That thought will tell you to leave. And when you see that that person suddenly becomes so silent in the midst of others, I need you to be very, very watchful at that person, because the next thing the person will do is to just walk out and go and take its own next fix. So that is why the loved one has to always be watchful, to ask questions, to engage them whenever they are silent, because there are things going on in their mind. Because that thing is telling them, you need to go, you need to go, you need to go. And then one way, if you engage them, talking with them can allow those um, um, the thoughts that is coming, that is trying to overtake them, you can begin to wear those thoughts and you can begin to silence those thoughts. When you engage them, when you talk about things that can give them, that can motivate them, things that are of purpose. Yes, they are struggling with those things, and you begin to show them ways they can begin to put the dots together using the help of spiritual practices before you know it. Because one thing the scripture says that is that faith cometh by hearing. And so, what are you hearing? So, you need to constantly give them the word that will encourage their spirit man and uplift their spirit man so that they can begin to work in that aspect. Engaging them constantly is so important if they will have to be free from addiction. So it's important to recover, to learn how to implement stress management strategies, coping mechanism, and overall holistic approach to handling life that supports us in sustaining and maintaining our sobriety. Being able to center, balance, and find inner peace is vital for anyone on the path of recovery. So even when it comes to the aspect of spirituality, there's a way you can always help them to manage their stress, coping with all the issues of life. There's a lot of words you can give to them so that they can be sober. And when they are going through their soberness, you will see that a lot of changes will begin to happen in their life. Now, not only that, but feeling connected to ourselves, others, a source that greater than us can cause feeling of well-being, purpose on and then contentment. These feelings begin to replace our ego, fear, and anxiety as a sense of connectedness creates a pathway for healing. You see, that feeling of being connected brings a newness of life to us. That feeling of being connected makes us begin to feel that we've discovered new strengths, new ability, and we want to take that up. We want to begin to work in that aspect. And this can only happen because there is a connection, because there is an experience that is new, that has not been a usual one from what you used to experience when from being addicted. When we get connected to that bigger power, a new line of understanding is released into us. There is an illumination in our life. We begin to see, feel another new strength, and we begin to see that all those egos and fear and anxiety, sense of not being connected, begins to wear away. And that's when we begin to see that healing is taking place. Understanding our spirituality connection to a practice that works for us and creating a life around it are fundamental tools in all recovery programs. You could see we have a lot of centers today that are using evidence-based practices to see that the clients, those ones that are going through addiction issues, can recover from all what they are going through. And that is why they have to inculcate the spiritual aspect into it, because the spiritual aspect has to do with the emotion of the person that is fluctuating. Then there is a newness, there is a new understanding that the person gets about their purpose, about who they are, about what they need to do, how they have to achieve all these things. And when these things begin to get connected, now they begin to find a new pathway that they're getting into that part of treatment and getting into their recovery aspect. And um, this aspect of treatment depends on that person with their loved ones, how they are being connected to see how fast this can begin to happen in their life. So I want to talk about some roles of prayer when it comes to addiction. Some things that prayer have done. Prayer can prevent people in addiction recovery from returning to use because of the renewal of their mind. Renewal of the mind of the person. This is what they have believed before, and this is the path they have chosen before now. And that is what they all know about. But because they decided to try another path with a bigger power that have now they connected to, their mindset begin to change. And because of the newness of things that they are seeing right now, and with the loved ones encouraging them to walk in that path, and they stay in that path, things begin to happen. Because that voice that tells them to go back and take another fix, that voice gradually begins to wear down and being silent because of the new things that is coming up in their mind. And now there is a new consciousness in them about how they need to live their life. And that is one thing prayer can do. Prayer can also help people struggling with addiction to have a stronger emotional health and better emotional stability. This is what prayer can also do, with encouragement and continuous prayer from the loved one, telling them what they are supposed to tell them, and telling them that they can do it, telling them that they can beat addiction, telling them that they can become that person they are supposed to be, not castigating them, not telling them the negative aspect that can make them go back. These things that encourage them and begin to see that yes, there's a light after the tunnel. Their emotions begin to get stable. And this is one thing prayer can do. Prayer can also help decrease anxiety and depression. Because one thing is this, when you pray, you have peace. That's one thing prayer can do for you. When you pray, you decide to pray because you want to have peace. You want to leave that realm of frustration. You want to leave that realm of pain. You want to leave that realm of depression. And you decide that okay, you want to seek a higher power that can help you because you believe in that higher power. And when you begin to engage yourself in that higher power, you can see that your anxiety and depression begins to melt away. Another thing that prayer can do is that improve ability to learn and it can better we can have better memory. Why? Because of the experience of connection to the divinity, to the divine. Now, one thing is this, when you have an experience When you have a personal encounter with divine, your life cannot remain the same. I have a lot of testimony from people that we've spoken with. I can remember one of them the first time he came into our facility. He was even angry with God. He was on marijuana, and then he was able to say that this marijuana has taken so much from him. And even when this marijuana has taken so much from him, he grew up in a Christian family. Nobody was able to help him go through all these things. But when we spoke with him, he said yes, that he knew that he has left a path. But the truth of the matter now is that he wants to go back to that path and reconcile back with uh, God. And before we could know it, he had this peace. He said, this peace that he had now is something he cannot explain, something that is very, very different. And all those anxiety and depression that he can just see that he's so calm right now. And what we had did for him was to let him continue in that path because he has found peace in that path and he was able to connect. And now he can begin to see the purpose of his life again and he was ready to walk in that path. Another thing prayer can do is prayer can help increase happiness and clarity of purpose. When you continue to be in prayer and your loved one are supporting you with encouragement words, you begin to get happy again. Because one thing addiction will always do is to make sure that that person is isolated. And one thing you will always hear them do is that nobody loves me, people hate me, nobody wants me around them. And that is why I've decided to do my thing myself. Because if you look at it, there are situations that has happened before in their life. And when they began to try those substances they were using, they felt good about themselves. But that was just for a temporary time. And and that is why after a while they got addicted to that substance and it becomes something that they need to do every day and it's taking more out of their life. And now, so but with prayer and understanding and acceptance, and we are not being judgmental, we are compassionate, and we are being merciful, showing mercy to these people, and we are selfless, to always encourage them, for them to see that there is a life, a new life in them that is yearning to come out, and we are there. Whenever we see the mood they are, we try to encourage them to speak with them so that they can get out of those moods and get better. Like let me cite an example. There was one guy that we started the spiritual discipleship with. One time the guy just called and said he's having these cravings and it's about going to the joint to have another fix. So what did I say? I just told him, I said, okay, what you need to do is this. I know how you could feel, but I really appreciate you calling me at this moment. At least one thing he did was he has that confidence that whenever he calls us, we will not castigate him, we will not be judgmental. So when he called and I said, guy, what you have to do just right now, wherever you are, just take do a 180-degree. Wherever you're facing at that time, just start coming. We laughed about it. And that is how the guy did not go for the next phase. And we talked about it, we prayed together, I talked about what God has started, can see what God is doing already. For you to even have that ability to call at the time that you're feeling this, you can see that there's a lot of things God is doing already in your life. The guy was so happy. And gradually, those cravings went off. And today the guy is doing well. So these are things that this spiritual discipleship through prayer, encouraging them with word of God can do for them. So like in A and D, when we start with a client for assessment, the first point of contact after we've done the assessment will be the spiritual aspect. And this is what we'll do. We need to call them back to consciousness of their spirituality. We need to ask them what they can feel. Because one thing, many of them will notice that they had a connection before, but something happened somewhere, and that connection was no longer there. And since then, their life has become a struggling aspect. And we need to bring their consciousness back to where the link got missing, and we need to go back to that aspect. Many of them started well in church. Many of them started, being a moral person, and somehow, because of the pressures of life and the engagement and the exposures they had, and some of them just want to feel belong, they decided to take a path, and that path they took, what happened to them? That path became a demon. They took a path that became a demon and was ready to hold them down from seeing clarity again, from seeing what purpose of their life is again, and taking all they can ever be from them. But when we talk with them on this aspect, we let them see that there's more to what you can become than where you are right now. And all you could do is taking that step of saying no to where you are, and you are ready to fight. You tell them it's a battle you need to fight. It's not going to be an easy battle, but we are here to support you. But if you are ready to give your all to that battle, then we are here with you. Like we always tell the loved ones and the person that is going through that 70% of this battle is going to be coming from you. 20% is going to be coming from your loved one, while 10% is coming from us. We are going to guide you through to support you through all the thick and deep. And when you take that step, the first thing they will experience is that connection that has been missing for a long time. And when they get that connection back, many of them will tell us that they just felt peace. And what we do is that we begin to walk them in that path of spiritual discipleship with the new connection of the higher power. And in our own center, what we believe in Christ. We've met with different Muslims, and then we ask them what's their faith. They talk about it, but we tell them this is what path that has helped us, and we cannot discourage them from what path they've been working on. I have one of them that constantly called. We work together, and for a while that we worked together, a lot of changes came into his life, and he was so happy. He continued praying in their own way, but we continue to speak with the word of God, using the references of the word of God with him, and he was really excited. He was so happy that he could meet people like us to encourage him in the path that he can actually succeed and live a better life. And addiction cannot be a stronghold again over his life. So there's a lot of things we, the loved one, can help them to do, for them to discover their spirituality again and begin to have a sense of purpose and begin to walk in the clarity of their purpose and begin to see that they can become stable again in life. And when we begin to do this part with them in agreement, in love, supporting them, with showing mercy with them, then they begin to get better. And this is how spirituality goes a long way to helping those ones that are going through addiction today. I'll be entertaining questions from here or comments from anybody that wants to add something or wants to ask questions. Thank you. Hello.
Okay. Hello. I was trying to type my request to question, so I can ask now. Okay.
Yes, you can.
All right. Could you please? What I wanted to know first, you said responsibility, expected responsibility. You said percentage for the individual, the family, and the person. Could you please give me the proportion again? I missed it. The percentage you gave.
Okay, 70% of the healing process is coming from the person.
Okay, 70%.
Yes, because it's a battle the person has to be willing to go through. The 20% is the support that the family is giving this person and the encouragement for him to fight the battle that is before him.
Okay. Then 10% from the professional.
Yes.
Okay. The second one is, my observation. Yes, one cannot the importance of prayers in management cannot be overemphasized. But I've realized that for the initial user, during the management, when you expose him to God, the person will embrace it easily. But if there is relapse and you are doing that after the relapse, in recovery, it's a bit difficult. It's a bit, that's from observation.
Yes. The one thing we cannot take away from the person is the conviction they had when they met with a higher power. And that we can always reenact that experience of them to them as an encouragement to motivate them again to stand up. One thing is that, yes, lapse or relapse can always happen. But for us to be discouraged will be an opening door for them to go down more. So we cannot stop because they already have their own conviction. We walk through their own conviction of that of the sense of clarity they had before they had relapse, and we can begin to pick them up again for them to see that the battle is not easy, but it can become a winner indeed.
Yeah. Okay, thank you.
Hello?
Hello. Hello, can you hear me, sir?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, so thank you for that presentation. I just want to add a few comments to what to the question Mrs. Ayanaba asked about spirituality and when they relapse. One thing that is that is associated with relapse is that they have tendency to actually be worried, to be afraid, and to feel discouraged because looking back, looking at the efforts they have actually made into being sober, and they find themselves relapsing. But one of the things we need to do as professionals, mental health practitioners, is just to encourage them, just like what Mr. Gideon said, and continue to encourage them and support them and give them the support, not to, because when clients relapse or when they have relapse or they relapse and nobody is there to support them, to encourage them, then they can the later part can the later part of their life can even be worse than when they came into the facility initially. So our duty, our responsibility is to encourage them and to continue to pray for them, because we believe so much in the supernatural power of God in helping our clients overcome every addictive behavior. And so we need to encourage them and motivate them as well. So on the part of loved ones that are helping they also want to help their loved ones to get a treatment, they shouldn't the part of spirituality cannot be overemphasized, just like what Mr. Gideon said, because no man can change another man, no man can transform another man. So they all need supernatural power to help them get over their addictive behavior. Thank you so much, and thank you for your presentation, sir.
Thank you, ma'am. Any other question or comments?
Thank you for
Thank you.
explaining it further. God bless you.
Okay. At this junction, we will come to the end of this 4 days training, virtual training on how family or loved ones can get their loved ones into addiction and treatment. And we'll be having other topics that we'll be presenting soon. And then we will be asking to also join us when the time comes. And then we want to also ask you to send in your comments and then stay with us on the WhatsApp group for any questions so that we can continue to help ourselves and see how we can make this nation or the world better and reduce addiction from those ones that are going through it, especially these our youth of these days. God help us. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. I appreciate what you have done. It has really opened my eyes to so many things. God bless you.
Thank you.